Another in the hot seat installment.
Hello.
We are here with Brian Fisher, choral
Hi.
director. Hi, Fisher.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well as can be in this situation.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Now,
Right.
Okay, those viewers who've been viewing these will know that Mr. Fisher did all these recordings and he was a great interviewer. And I was just saying, I feel like Katie Couric when she took over for David Letterman. Your parents will understand that reference. So I'm going to ask Brian some questions.
Okay.
So, Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you born?
I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I was born in Lincoln and we lived outside of Lincoln, 15, in a very, very small town called Ceresco, Nebraska. And then when I was in third grade, we moved to Lincoln and that's where I grew up.
Okay. So how big was the town you were born in?
About 560 people.
Wow.
Yeah, really teeny. We had a Dairy Queen, but it was called the Farmer in the Dell. And then we had a couple gas stations. Okay. There was a car dealership and a furniture store. And a little sundry place where you could go and get phosphates and soda pop and candy and
wow.
A little country store, teeny tiny town.
That's amazing. That's small. Yeah. How many brothers and sisters do you have? What's your family?
I have 4 siblings. I have 1 brother and 3 sisters, and I am the baby.
Oh.
There was actually 3 girls in a row. So it went Debbie, Kathy, Sue, and then 3 years later, they had my brother. And then they were done. They wanted a boy. And then I came along about 5 years later and I was an unplanned child. And I was in junior high and I'd get really mad at my mom. I'd go, I'm just a mistake. You hate me.
Did your siblings ever hold that over you and say you were not supposed to be here?
No, they didn't do that really, but they were mad because they were all a year and a half apart. And then I came later. So a couple of them were out of the house by the time I was in high school. And I was super involved in activities. So my parents gave me a car to drive. And they, to this day, they're like, it is so not fair that you got a car. And I'm like, you're 50. Let it go. They still are angry.
Oh my gosh, it's super funny. All right, What did your parents do for a living?
My dad worked my entire life at Goodyear Rubber and Tire Company.
Wow.
And he was a factory man. And then my mom had a lot of jobs. She stayed at home until I was in kindergarten, I think. And then she was a bookkeeper for a radio station. She cleaned hotel rooms for a long time. And then she worked at the same factory my dad worked at as well. And then for probably the last 20 years or 30 years of her working life, she was a clerk in a pharmacy.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So growing up in your family, when you got to be 16, what did you want to do when you grew up? And what were you interested in? What did you want to do?
Well, for the longest time, I wanted to be a chef, which is hilarious because I didn't ever eat out. We went to McDonald's once a month, and that was eating out. We did not go out. So I didn't really know what fancy food was, real good food, And then, but I made soup. I made up my own soup.
Wow.
And it was basically a hamburger vegetable soup. And I loved it and everybody liked it. So I got all those accolades ooh, Brian, nice soup. This is great. I'm I could be a chef. And that stuck for many years. And then I could easily say by 10th grade, I knew I wanted to be a high school music teacher.
Wow, that early.
Yep. And I had little snippets of wanting to perform, but I kind of knew myself pretty well and knew that I needed security because I grew up without a lot of money and a lot of, not a lot to fall back on. And I think I knew that there was something, when I say security, I don't just mean money. It's just a normal schedule, something that I knew I could do for the majority of my life. And so that was important. And then, and again, like, even when I was still in high school, I was like putting on shows at the church and choreographing them and making the programs. And I just loved it all. I just absolutely loved it. So.
That's cool. So like what choir teachers or choir directors would you say were the most influential to you?
So many. Junior high school, Miss Stinner.
Okay.
So I grew up in the rough part of town, and the school district decided to like bring in some strong co-curricular and extracurricular leaders, which I learned later. But and so they brought in this woman who had been teaching on sort of the fancy side of town, and she was gorgeous. She had this big feathered blonde hair, and she wore Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. And her name was Miss Stinner, Rita Stinner, and she changed my life. So her first year was my 7th grade year in junior high. Huge impact. Miss Scribner in elementary was cool too. But then in high school, Dwayne Nichols and Mary Eastman. We had 2 full-time choir teachers at my high school. And
wow,
I lived in that department. And they were like second parents to me. So Mary Eastman. Dwayne Nichols unfortunately passed away when I was in college. He was roofing his house and fell off and died. Oh. It's not funny at all. It's tragic, but it's just like one of those things you hear like, really? That happened to someone, you know? Oh. And it was Mr. Nichols. It was like the guy who, you know, cast me as Albert Peterson in The Music Man, you know?
You were Albert Peterson in The Music Man?
Yeah, or not yeah, it's the music. No. Bye Bye Birdie. Bye Bye Birdie.
I was like, wait. Okay, sorry. But so Albert, wow.
I was Jason Squires in The Music Man, the tenor in the quartet.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. But no, in Bye Bye Birdie, I was Albert Peterson, the Dick Van Dyke role.
That is the best. How many shows were you in high school? Oh, I'm going off the questions. Sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
All of them. You know, like I went in 10th grade, you couldn't do the musical because you had to be. It was weird. Only concert choir members could do the musical. Oh. So you had to be in the concert choir to do the musical in my high school. And I think it's because, again, with hindsight and as a teacher, the theater director wanted nothing to do with musicals. And so Mr. Nichols really wanted to do the musical. So he directed it and he conducted the pit. And then he hired a choreographer and costuming. I don't even know who. I think students did the costuming. Mm-hmm. So my junior year was No Nanette.
Oh my God.
So stupid. And I played the male lead, Tom Turner, I think was my name. And then in my senior year, it was Bye Bye Birdie. And me and Lenora Schlosser, who was a brilliant musician, she played piano. She was Rosie. And it was so funny though, because like, you know the song T for Two? Have you ever heard the song T for Two?
Yep. And two.
And the same thing happened with Put on a Happy Face, because that's in Bye Bye Birdie. T for Two was in No Nanette. And in T for Two, and the song is Picture You Upon My Knee, Just T for Two, like that. Well, my note is it's lower now than it was then, but I had so few low notes. So I had to change the notes to this. Picture you upon my knee, just T for two and two for T. So I totally had to change it. And then the same thing happened in Bye Bye Birdie, because the song was Now My Life is Rosie or something. But the phrase was, now my life is rosy. I'm so glad you chose me. But I couldn't do the low note, so I went, now my life is rosy. I'm so glad you. So I just took it all up an octave.
That's so cool. So you were doing what you do now as a high school.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I would love to do Bye Bye Birdie. Clearly, as you're talking, I'm forgetting who played who where, but that's cool.
Know, the other thing too, not just musicals and theater that really influenced my life is when I think it started when I was 4. No, when I was 6. Our family used to travel around singing. We were the Fisher family singers. And it's like the Partridge Family and the Von Trapps had a baby. That's what we were.
Wow, you're like Judy Garland.
Yes. And it was fun. You know, I played guitar. I learned how to play guitar really young. And so there's 7 of us total, including my parents. We all sang. And we would go to churches and county fairs and stuff like that and sing.
Wow, that's really cool. When did you stop doing that?
When my older siblings all became teenagers and, they became
Okay.
too cool for school and they weren't interested in doing it anymore.
Okay.
And I didn't know it was weird. Like people were making fun of me because I would leave school early on a Friday to go to the Lancaster County Fair or whatever. I didn't know it was weird, and I didn't understand why people would make fun of me. It's like, what? Don't you just sit around before the Love Boat and Fantasy Island on Saturdays and harmonize? Like, doesn't everybody do that?
That's super cool. What's your favorite thing about teaching?
Oh, to be honest, it's what I miss the most right now, which is it's of course the students, but really specifically, it's that dynamic and community that we create together in the department and in each class, and with the musical. I love that the most. That feeling like when you just have common experience and bond with people.
Yep.
I miss it so much.
Yeah, I totally hear that. I'm right there with you. So kind of going off that a little bit, then what makes you laugh the most?
Oh.
Maybe not at work necessarily, just in general.
Yeah. I like reference humor. Like I like humor that it requires you to have an understanding of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So like watching Seth Rudetsky, who do his Stars in the House thing. I watch his clips on YouTube all the time. And he'll refer to a show or an actor or a song as part of the joke to something. And that just makes me just giggle like crazy. Also, just really, really well thought through characters. Like Catherine O'Hara in Schitt's Creek and anything Catherine O'Hara does. Andrea Martin. They're both SCTV people. I think it's the characters. It's not so much like a kind of humor or brand of humor. It's just when the character is so thought through and just flushed well.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. There's an interesting question because I'm just picking questions at random here. What is your favorite game or sport to watch and play? Because I don't think I've ever talked to you about that. Mm-hmm.
I'm not much into the sports. And everyone watching, feel free to chuckle along. I do enjoy, for like mainstream sports, I do enjoy soccer. I like, because you know when it starts and you know when it ends. And it's a cool vibe. I like the way soccer people act. Minnesota United, which I've been to a few of their games. I love them. But that's kind of it for traditional sports. Like when we go to Twins games, I'm just like looking around and taking in the beauty and those like the mirror things flipping on the parking structure across the way, and the food.
Yeah.
But what I really like watching like on TV sports wise is I love watching bowling.
What?
It's true. I love watching bowling. And I really enjoy figure skating. And almost all Olympic sports I love. Yeah. I love watching Olympic sports. Yeah.
That's great. Bowling for dollars,
Oh, yeah. I grew up watching bowling, so I love watching bowling.
Yeah, nice.
I'm not a very good bowler, but.
Well, that doesn't matter, right? So this may be more, that question was way over here, but as I've seen you sing karaoke, so I know how fabulous you are at that. But what is your favorite, or what would you sing on karaoke night? What's your go-to?
Okay, I'll try not to overthink it. The Reflex by Duran Duran.
Yes.
Which does have a high C sharp in it. So I have to be in good voice.
Nice.
Reminiscing by Little River Band.
Cool.
That no one knows it, but it's one of my favorites. And Careless Whisper by George Michael.
That is the best. Oh my gosh, those are fab. That's okay. So those are great. So those are very nostalgic for me. Well, we're about the same age, so there you go. Right. But if you could go back in time, then what year would you travel to? I love that question.
I think, well, there's like the go back in your own lifetime, and then there's the, like go back to any period in time. I think ironically it's the same time as my birth. Like I would love to be in San Francisco in like 68 to 69. That whole movement before it got too druggy, it was truly peace. It was like new world thinking, like seeing everything from a new perspective.
Yeah.
And then it just got really muddy with all the drugs. But I love the sort of idealism of the hippies. So probably 68 to 69, San Francisco.
Oh, that's a great answer. So let's go a little bit goofy here. So what's one of your pet peeves?
Oh, I have so many. People who talk when they're not supposed to, most specifically in meetings. And I think adults are just as bad as kids, or maybe worse. But like when you're in a staff meeting and someone is up there presenting something that they've prepared, whether or not you like it or agree with it, they've done their job. And people are just like, and they just won't stop talking. It drives me crazy.
Yep.
That's one.
That's a great. Okay, here's a funny question. How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Yeah. I don't really know. I would guess. I just gave a ton of clothes and shoes away to Value Village, which some Southwest students might have purchased because it's just down on Penn by.
Yeah, right.
In Richfield. I currently have, I would say, 30 pairs of shoes, probably.
Okay, so you're not really a Melda Marcos or anything.
No.
Okay, well, that's kind of.
Dr. Hannah Armstrong. Watch her. You won't believe how many pairs of shoes she has. I'm just saying. Tune in.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. Who would you want to play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, gosh. Well, I went through a stage because I used to wear glasses. I had LASIK, but I always wear glasses. Oh. And one of my students said, "You look like James Spader." James Spader. He was in Stargate, and he was in a lot of those John Hughes films back in the day. He always played the jerk.
Yeah, he's in like The Blacklist or something now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on another show. Yep, he was on 24 with Kiefer Sutherland.
Maybe
not. I don't know. Maybe him. But what I wish I could say was someone like, I don't know, someone attractive.
Oh. Well, that's always.
But more realistically, it would be James Spader, or I don't know. Oh, you know who would be fun is Jack Black.
Oh, funny
character, but lovable.
Yeah, but he'd have to have like a makeover because he's like schlumpy.
Yeah, he's schlumpy.
And you're not schlumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, here's my. I love that. If you had a warning label, what would yours say? That's a weird question.
Something about magnets, like avoid contact with magnets, because you know when you have magnets and you try to put them together, and then you go like this, but then they go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, like, I do. Because the opposite, or they're the same charge, or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know the physics. Sorry, physics teachers. But that's something about magnets, because certain people I try, but there's always just the offset connection with that I like to connect with people. So it has something to do with be patient with the offset magnet connection. I don't know.
Oh, that's a great answer. Okay, so then if you could join any past or current music group, which would you want to join? That question's right up your alley.
There's so many. I mean, Duran Duran. I mean, I wanted so much to be in that band, Duran Duran. I've had a lovely, awesome experience singing classical music, and a lot of the choral and classical stuff. Oh, you know what? The Real Group, the Swedish vocal jazz group, The Real Group. It used to be Manhattan Transfer. Like, I wanted to be a Manhattan Transfer so bad. And then in probably the mid-90s, this group called The Real Group from Stockholm, Sweden, came out. And it's 5 people. And I've seen them in concert numerous times. They're unbelievable singers. It's all a cappella, jazz, and pop music. I would love to be in that group.
Cool. I'd have to look them up. I don't even know who they are.
Worth trying.
And I'm part Swedish, so there you go. So here, the following questions are loosely based on noted French author Marcel Proust's character questions. I don't know if I said that right. Okay. When possible, try to answer with one word or a brief answer. Please answer honestly and don't overthink it.
Okay.
Got it? All right. I am going to just clip through these. Here we go.
Okay.
What is your favorite word?
Yes.
What is your least favorite word?
Gristle.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Self-actualization.
How would you? I'm sorry?
Which is continuous. It will always go on.
Yeah, that's very cool. How would you describe your current state of mind?
Random.
Yeah. Yep. What occupation other than yours would you like to try?
An artisan of some kind, like a woodworker or a potter.
Oh, cool. What occupation other than yours would you not like to try?
A line cook or a sous chef.
Interesting. Your face said it all.
Did it really?
Yeah, it was like this squished up kind of thing. Okay. When and where are you the happiest?
I don't care how corny it sounds. In music. Just in music.
Excellent answer. What is something you dislike?
Inconsiderateness, if that's a word. Insensitivity.
Nice. What are you afraid of?
Snakes.
Oh, I know that.
Definitely afraid of snakes.
Which talent would you most like to have?
I really wish I was an accomplished piano player.
Oh, that's interesting to me. What is the quality you most like in a friend?
Real sincere connection.
Nice.
Yeah.
What sound? Sorry. What sound? I guess that choked me up. What sound or noise do you love?
A perfectly tuned chord. Like just a perfectly tuned, natural, not operatic sound, but like just a beautiful choral, pure choral tone.
Perfect answer. What sound or noise do you hate? Your face.
What? I can't see myself.
Beautiful. That's good. That was like my answer. Okay. And lastly, if you were to die and come back as a person or thing, what do you think it would be?
Like a rock.
Oh.
A stone in the ocean. A rock. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is a great answer. And now I'll ponder that for hours. So it has been a pleasure, Mr. Fisher.
Likewise.
And yeah, fabulous. Nice. I learned a lot about you. That was cool. So that's it. That's the end of this episode of In the Hot Seat with Mr. Brian Fisher. All right. Woohoo!